सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधिता भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथिता पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीम् भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are deliberating upon verses from chapter number 18, and today we would be studying the section about the three kinds of pleasures. So here now, according to the differentiation by qualities called Satvika, Rajasika or Tamasika Gunas, Bhagavan has enunciated so far Jnana, Karma, Karta, Buddhi and Dhruti, these five, and this is the last one which is called as the Sukha. These six elements, especially Bhagavan has thought to discuss how these three elements, under the spell of different qualities, Satviki, the very fine, Rajasika, the hyper, and the Tamasika, the hypofrequency, the low frequency, how they, under their spell, the similar faculties, whether it is Jnana or Karma or Karta or Buddhi or Dhruti, so under their spell, how they project themselves, how they behave themselves, how they come to manifest differently, and thereby Satvika liberating someone, Rajasika confusing someone to understand what clearly is the path and causing the struggle therefore, and Tamasika again bringing in the conviction but taking to the path of degradation. This is what it will happen under the spell of these gunas. Now Bhagavan here going to describe what is Sukha is like under the spell of these three different qualities. Three qualities of Sukha, the pleasures. And considering this idea, that human soul, human being, is driven by this one idea called pleasure, called ananda, called sukha. Only the want of it or the lack of it causes dukkha to individual. And why it should not be? It is very natural. Ananda is your swarupa. And man would be, a human being would be, continuously looking after it, seeking after it, to find more and more in quantity and quality. Quality in the sense how intense, how permeable, and how pervasive that experience of pleasure would be. Similarly, how lasting that experience would be. This is another quality of a pleasure, which in degree it will define what kind of or what quality of that pleasure, that happiness, that joy is. Intensity, its permeability, that for example, gross things are very locally experienced, like you eat a sweet, suppose. How much you feel? What is the locus of that pleasure? How do you determine? Maybe the taste buds to identify sweetness is only at the tip of your tongue, maybe at the end of your tongue, and that's it. After that, you only have the smriti of that. Only now it is information. There is nothing. You swallow it, you feel like your stomach is filled in with something. So if we go to analyze the experiences of our pleasure, how far it is permeable, how intense it is, means now when you are having that pleasure, any kind of experience, how much of consciousness it can invade? Can you forget the world into it? Can you lose your consciousness into it? No, we don't. We don't have that kind of pleasures or instances of happiness. We don't see that kind of happiness. We don't have that kind of happiness. So what is our alternate compensation for it? We want to have it more and more, repeatedly and repeatedly. Why? Because they are not even lasting. They are not even lasting. Once that gulab jamun drops down my throat, now I have the sense of it, a taste, that immediate experience I had, that I have good recollection of it. Yes, this particular gulab jamun is fresh, made nicely, fried in ghee. Everything, kesar and elaichi and everything is put there, so smells nice. So all the, yes, my brain is so identifies it, that is the correct thing, this is the right thing, very high quality thing. So I can have one more. That is the conclusion. If that one would have been good enough, I would not have felt the requirement to have one more very immediately. As it loses contact with my sense organs, my tongue, as soon as it loses contact. So that much is its life. In second chapter, Bhagavan had used this phrase, Agama payino nitya tan titikshasva bharata. So full verse is Yamna vyathayante te purusham purusharshabha. Samadukha sukham dhiram. Somrutatva kalpate. Acha. Before to that, yes. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama payino nityaha tantitikshasva bharata. Agama apayinaha. Agama means which comes. Apayinaha means which goes away. What? Matra sparshastu. Here, this in Vedanta Sara, there is this concept of matras. Matras, they means and these elements are very fragments, very sukshma, of which all things are made. Of which all things are made. Matraha. They are called as Matraha. How sometimes these people, how they come with these kinds of ideas. Matraha. And with that interactions of which everything is made, so Vishayas are made. So because in Vedanta, they say of these 5 elements, all things are made. They talk about one concept of Panchikarana. So they say it is not these primary elements of which this whole gross things take shape. No, it is not like that. They go through the process of Panchikarana. They intermix with each other and then gives rise to these grosser elements. Of those elements, even our mind, our antakarana is made, and depending upon which one thing behaves in one way. So, from, let's say, from the element of Akasha, our Karnendriya is made because Shabda would be its Vishaya. Alright? So it is not out of Akasha my Karnendriya is made. So it would be mixed with other 4 elements too. But that would be dominant element, Akasha. This my body cannot be made without the element of Prithvi, Jala, Vayu, Agni. Without that, even this gross thing cannot be made. Okay, from Agni-indriya, these my eyes have come. Okay, etc., etc. So matras are the finest elements of this Panchatattva, and with which this interaction happens. Like my tongue, how does that another element which is come across with my indriyas, and how do I know that? How do I know this exchange of matras? That's why this word is used, matra sparshaha. Matra sparshaha. Due to this interaction of the matraha, meaning that all Vishaya Bhogas, all Vishaya Jnanas, they happen through this matra sparshaha. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. What is Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkhada. So da here means, this da prefix means dayakaha. It is giving rise to what? These different kinds of experience. 2 pairs. Shita, Ushna, cold or hot. Sukha and Dukkha. So one thing is Shita and Ushna, which is physical experience. Sukha and Dukkha is emotional experience. So whether it is gross, sthula or sukshma, both kinds of anubhavas, their root lies in this matra sparshaha. And therefore, what is this? These experiences, what is their nature? Agama apayinaha. They can come and they can go, they cannot last. That interaction happens and that is over, it cannot last. It cannot hold the ground, it cannot be there permanently. That is its nature. And what does Bhagavan say? There, as they are agama apayinaha. So what is the way out? What is the moral of the story? Knowing this truth, knowing this knowledge, knowing this natural fact, architecture of the thing, this is how things stand. How does a jnani, how does a wise person should behave? Tan titikshasva. What that person is supposed to do? Tikshaha. He should practice that, become witness to it, that forbear them. So something which is causing you happiness, you forbear it. Do not lose, do not indulge, do not waste, do not lose yourself away into it. That is the message. That is the teaching. Because they will come and go, you forbear them. You know them, that this, you do not lose, do not go crazy after it. Whether it is sukha, whether it is dukkha. Whether it is shita, whether it is ushna. Know that correctly. Yes, this is something helpful, this is not helpful. This is harmful. So stay away from it. You do not lose yourself after it. So something is nice, you do not go mad after it. And this idea of detachment, of this appropriateness, of this measured, controlled behavior, it is taught throughout the Gita. In this 18th chapter also, we saw that verse, na dveshti akushalam karma kushale na anushajjate. You do not lose yourself which you like, kushale, which is where you are good at, which you like, which is anukula. You do not lose yourself, na anushajjate, you do not become asakta. Na dveshti akushalam. Not only that, you do not hate, which is not good, you do not like it. You may not be good at it, but nonetheless, it must be the course of the thing, then yes, you go through it. Na dveshti, you do not hate it. Akushale. So this is the idea, it is taught from the beginning. So sukha here, this very fundamental, we get blinded and we do not very carefully look into it. And that's what causes the mess in our own life, in our own mind. We become indiscreet, we become unscrupulous while dealing with the things. We are simply driven by the concepts of this sukha. How much intensified it is, how much permeable it is, how much persevering or everlasting it is. And another factor is there, we must add, that is, whether to obtain that pleasure. What is the factor of dependency? If that pleasure is as much you are independent of external world or elements, now that would be the higher quality of pleasure. If you have to depend upon certain things, outside people, conditions, your provider, supplier, and again their chances of arranging things appropriately, then you are dependent in various ways. So you cannot have. So as much you become independent in obtaining, creating that instance of that intense, highly permeable, highly persevering kind of happiness, you are independent also, then that is the kind of pleasure you are looking for. That is the higher degree of pleasure. That kind of pleasure can only be therefore found. So we not only cannot depend upon the world, of the things, of the resources, of the materials, of the people, but also we cannot depend upon our inner faculties, like our smritis, our buddhi, our shakti, and our chitta, buddhi, man, ahankara, everything. So like somebody might say that I draw intense pleasure in daydreaming. He doesn't require anybody's help. He is self-sufficient. How far intense he can make it? How permeable it is? How sustained it can be? How persevering it can be? And whether he would be sufficient, because again all our knowledge, including our dreaming, is depending upon the data, resources we draw from. Afterwards it can become pale, insipid, and we might have limitation. Whether this unlocks and opens before me, how positively, constructively, now it is exclusively, it is creating an exclusive experience for that person, and he is totally cut off from the reality. So he would be always threatened when his exclusivity or his privacy would be invaded by any other factor, and he can be always susceptible of breaking his chain, breaking his session of daydreaming, probably. Somebody might say there are now different kinds of the synthetic drugs and all that. You take some drugs were named like ecstasy. So you take this, you do not have to work anything, and samadhi-like experience. This kind of mushroom you eat or this other kind of drugs you take, and whole world disappears. And various kind of psychedelic experiences you can have. Two dangers: cutting off from the reality, and this is again very continuously, progressively deteriorating that individual, damaging that individual, and making it crazy. Therefore, this again, and it would be therefore, when under its spell, that person is undermining the validity of any other thing, any other relation, any other virtue in this world, trying to violate it, this person now is susceptible to be harshly punished by the society or whatever regulates that society. Because this person is not, because he has to purchase now that drug, so he is stealing money. You steal money, violating somebody's private property, then you get beaten. So even that cannot be the quality of pleasure individual would be looking for, because it doesn't build up, totally cuts him off, deteriorates that individual, completely ruins him of all other his faculties and virtues. So even that sukha is not the correct. So this is the only one sukha. Now Bhagavan, he will describes three qualities. This Atma Sukha, when I become independent even of my these inner faculties, and unlock that virtue, unlock that mind where this eternal fountain of this pure bliss is flowing forth. And now it is independent of my mind, my buddhi, my kruti, and I become the beneficiary of it. This is the pursuit of this highest pleasure or this spiritual ideal. So right from the most base individuals to highest, greatest souls, Mahatmas, Mahapurushas, we see this one thread common. They are driven by this quality of the pleasure. He is satisfied there and he doesn't have the means. And here on the other end, the great souls, they have unlocked this full potential and these doors of this infinite bliss are open unto them. Bhagavan says here, Sukham Tvidanim Trividham Shrudu me Bharatarshapha Abhyasat Ramate Yatra Dukkhantam Cha Nigacchati. So, Tu Idanim, that word is, it has become by Sandhi Vidanim. Idanim means now. Idanim means now. Sukham, Trividham of three types. Shrunu, listen. Now listen. This is the meaning. Idanim, Shrunu, now listen. Three types of happiness, three types of pleasures. He Bharata, Shava, me, from me, listen from me. So, Abhyasat Ramate Yatra. So, these pleasures, this is one very wonderful concept. All Hindu traditions, they concept in psychology you can say. So they say by habit only your ways of indulging and consuming pleasure, they are formed by habits only. Good or bad, you develop good habits, you develop a way, a mechanism to enjoy happiness, to enjoy pleasure through good ways. Maybe you are doing study, maybe you have developed your art, craft or particular way and you find extraordinary pleasure in doing that, whatever it might be your profession, and you are very happy about it. Abhyasat Ramate, Abhyasat Ramate. It has become again here Sandhi, Abhyasat Ramate. Hapta of Abhyasat and Ramate, it has become Dra. Abhyasat Ramate. Ta and the, it becomes like Bhagavad Gita. When we write one word, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad, that is the word Bhagavad Gita. Because from Bhagavan, Gita, which is means being sung, which is being sung. Gitaha. So Gita is the word for a song. Gitaha, which is like he has sang that. Sang by the Bhagavan. That's why Bhagavad Gita. So Abhyasat Ramate. So Ramate means where you now your mind, what would be the word Ramate? Learns to enjoy. Yes. That your mind, Ramate means that it settles or it absorbs there because it finds now pleasure. It finds you enjoy that. That is Ramate. Even in our colloquial, other vernacular languages, we use that kind of phrase. मेरा मन नहीं रम रहा, ठीक है कि नहीं? तो रमना, इसलिए स्त्री को एक शब्द है रमणी, है ना, कि मतलब वो स्त्री इतनी अच्छी है, सुंदर है, या फिर उसका स्वभाव बहुत अच्छा है, या फिर वो मुझे जिस तरह से मतलब सेवा करती है, रमणी, वहां पे मन, मनोरमा, जिसमें मन रमता है, इसलिए राम भी इसी धातु से, रम धातु। राम, जिसमें मन तुम्हारा रमता है वो राम। रम्य मतलब इतना सुंदर है कि तुम्हारा मन वहां पे विराम पाए। है ना, वहां पे रुक जाए। अभ्यासात रमते। सो आपका मन वहां पे कैसा रमेगा? अभ्यास के बिना नहीं। ये सारे जो सुख है अभ्यास के बिना नहीं प्राप्त होते। और दुखांतम च निगच्छति। दुख का अंत दुखांतम। अभ्यासात रमते यत्र दुखांतम च निगच्छति। निगच्छति मतलब वहां से तुमको निकल जाना, वहां से तुमको निकल जाना। जहां दुख का अंत होता है वहां से तुम आगे बढ़ जाते हो। अभ्यासात रमते दुखांतम च निगच्छति। दुख समाप्त हो जाता है वहां पे, तो क्या रहेगा? केवल सुख रहेगा, ऐसा तात्पर्य। अभ्यासात रमते यत्र दुखांतम च निगच्छति। And these three kinds of pleasures Bhagwan he is explaining. So first is the satvika pleasure. Of the higher quality. What does Bhagwan say? Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. So this pleasure, Bhagwan says that agre vishamiva, it is like a poison. It is like killing that person. Poison will kill you, isn't it? And pariname, in result, it would be like amrutopamam. Amruta upamam, upama of just like amruta. Amruta upamam. Upama, that is given the likeness of. So like the nectar, it will make that individual immortal as if. What does that mean? Here, if anything which kills you, and afterward you are going to become immortal, how is it? So what kind of pleasure is that? So which, in the beginning it kills the individual and ultimately makes the immortal. It can be taken in this way. So many times people interpret it mostly because they do not, so which is something very difficult and which causes you a lot of pain, and then ultimately it gives a great results, something that is sattvic. But here Bhagwan didn't say that it is painful. Did Bhagwan say that? That it is very hard? He didn't say that. He said vishamiva. It is like a poison. Poison, everything is even a small thing is a poison, like when you have little bit food poison. Then you have what? Stomach ache. You don't eat one night, tomorrow you would be alright. Okay. So poison not necessarily kills, but you will have trouble. That is poison. It is not something very organic, very natural, very beneficial to you by its own virtue. Poison is not agreeable with you. That is the main idea. Its agreeableness, it is not agreeable. But ultimately it will make you immortal. But if we take this the idea of poison and its implication of ability to kill an individual. We can say, we can correlate this to one thing. That thing is the sukha which would be obtained, which would be like killing the self, killing this lower self, killing your ego. When the disciple may be surrender at the feet of Guru and let go of his own vanities, of his own ideas, tantrums, discomforts, and go through the rigorous discipline. He molds himself through that discipline. And that is why whatsoever he will earn thereby, it will make him immortal. That knowledge, that living, that he will become that kind of individual. Now it is pleasure when it is killing him. It is also pleasure when he is attaining immortality. It is a great pleasure. But he had created that value. In the beginning it is visham eva, just like poison. It is just like killing that individual, killing his lower self, killing his base self. So it will come through sacrifices. His natural tendencies towards the Vishaya Upabhoga, he will kill that. Killing his baseness, and therefore this great soul, this immortality is attained. And what does it, how does it say that? Tat sukham satvikam proktam. That sukham is termed as proktam. It is said as satvikam, of the highest quality. Satvikam. And again he gives another adjective. What is that? Atma buddhi prasadajam. This is something very wonderful. And it is very telling about this dominance of the Satvika Guna. Satvika Guna, it will cause that. What is that? Atma buddhi prasadajam. It can be said in one way or other. That Sukham will give birth to or give rise to Atma buddhi prasada. Prasada means prasannata, sthirata, shantata. Atma buddhi. Or you can say that having developed that buddhi towards his own self, consciousness, Atma buddhi, not Deha buddhi, not Mana buddhi, Atma buddhi, Chaitanya buddhi. And from that, the prasada, the prasannata, the sthirata which has come, of which this sukha is born. This sukha is born. This sukha can be born only from the spiritual foundation. That's why killing of the ego and creating that immortality, those things will make sense. So this is the Satvika Sukha of very high quality. Atma buddhi prasadajam. The serenity which is born out of this self-consciousness. The sukha comes forth from that serenity. That sukha is the Satvika Sukha of the highest quality. That is truly independent. It has the full potential to go as much intensifiable, as much permeable that it can consume everything, yourself, your self-awareness and whole existence. Pervasibility, that it will persevere forever as a constantly lingering. And it can certainly be totally independent. Highest quality of sukha it can unlock. So, this is Satvika Sukha. Then what is Rajasika Sukha? Bhagavan says, Vishayendriya Sayogat Yattadagre Amrutopamam Pariname Vishamiva Tat Sukham Rajasam Skrutam. Vishayendriya Sayogat. So definitely this is now of the lower level of Indriya and Mana and Vishaya. So Vishayendriya Sayogat Matra Sparshaha. Sayoga happening between, Sayoga means contact. Between whom? Between your Vishaya and Indriya. Your Indriya, Vishaya. Vishaya can not only be consumed grossly but also mentally. Try to understand that. So you are contemplating something, it is Vishaya, Indriya, Sayoga also. Vishaya, Indriya, Sayoga. Vishayendriya Sayogat Yattadagre Amrutopamam. So which is like in the beginning Amrutopamam, Amruta Upamam. Just like Amruta, you like it, very nice, you savor it. Whenever you are having that interaction between Vishaya and Indriya and you indulge into it, you like it very nice. Liking it very nice, you can take it in both ways. Suppose you are very angry, okay, and you are contemplating to completely destroy and annihilate your enemy, and it is giving you great satisfaction. Again, it would be same thing. Vishaya Indriya Sayogat Yattadagre Amrupopamam Pariname tu Vishamiva. Pariname, sorry, tu is not there. Pariname Vishamiva. But resultantly, eventually, over the period of time, it will cause now just like work like a poison. It will deteriorate. It will degrade your whole faculties. It will erode. It will chew upon your own capacity. It will degenerate you. It will destroy you. That is Tat Sukham Rajasam Smritam. That Sukha is called as Rajasika Sukha. You might like it, but that is not the true Sukha. Be on your guard. You will be paying later. So be very careful. So if that Sukha is not coming out of paying price first, you would be paying price later. Be very careful. So which is simply due to the interaction between your Indriya and Vishayas. That Sukha you cannot rely upon. They will only suck out your energy, will leave you depleted. They will not be able to build. You will be constantly engaged. They will not cause your furtherance, your progress, your evolution. They will not cause your growth. You will be stuck, engaged in it and go round and round into it. So be watchful. Be watchful how much you give yourself into it. They have their scope limited. So this is the second Sukha, Rajasika Sukha. So waste of energy will happen. And you would be indulging into it. It will not cause your growth. But there is a still worse kind of Sukha. That is called as Tamasika Sukha. How is it like that? So Bhagavan says, Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohana matmanaha nidralasya pramadottam tat tamasam udavrutam. This is udavrutam, it is said, called tamasam. This sukham is called as tamasam srutam. Tamasam udavrutam. What is its nature? And again, as long as Bhagavan is very fond of this word moha, and whenever this idea of tamas comes, he invariably brings this idea, and that is very profound idea of moha. It is such a punishment, imprisonment, that we do not know what will cause the betterment of that individual who is found in the clutches of tamasa. We do not know. Because Factually speaking, that person will not even have any doubt if he is wrong. That is the power of moha. He is fully convinced. There is no confusion. That is moha. Mohanam atmanaha. Mohanam atmanaha. Atma moha. Self-delusion. Self-delusion. And Bhagavan says, which begins, which borns out of this self-delusion. Not only that, it is born and it binds to that self-delusion. That is, and the sukha which is born out of that. How dangerous this is. Only the Prakriti, this Mahamaya, and Bhagavan Ishvara, by their grace, if you get the blow, you have a chance, you have a choice to rethink whether you are that deluded and whether you should work out your way out of it. That is the only chance. Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanam atmanaha. Atma mohat yat sukham. So, and conditioned by and qualified by what kind of nidra, alasya, pramada. These three things, very typical of this tamasa. Nidra, too much sleep. Alasya, this indolence, procrastination, this inertia you will feel. Pramada, inadvertence. Inadvertence. That dexterity, that focus, that alertness, it is not there. That is one kind of this sloppy, shabby thing. That is tamasa. Hyper. Too spiked. That is rajasic thing. Fully alert, fully under control, fully settled. Prasada. That is the sattvika thing. That fully active, but fully calm, fully quiet. Not under, that pressure is there, ready to deal with the pressure, flow with the pressure, work with the pressure. That is sattvika. Being excessively animated due to the pressure, due to the demands of times and causes. This fellow might, derail at any time. That is a rajasika situation. Rajasika situation. There is a pressure, there is a demand. Not able to respond to it. Not able to correlate to it. Being dead, inert, that is the tamasika thing. Tamasika thing. This fellow is only meant to go lower and lower. Unless he makes something change. Unless something changes about that individual. Tamasika person. Nidra, alasya and pramada. Pramada uttam. Uttam means which comes out of it. Uttam. Pramadottam, which has come out of this nidra, alasya, pramada. What word Maharaj used here? Pramada, miscomprehension, inadvertence. In Vivek Chudamani, Gambhiranji has used word inadvertence. वो लोग नहीं देखे हैं तो इनसे गलतियां होती ही जाती है. गलती हो गई, गलती हो गई, गलती हो गई. So, inadvertence. So something when I had joined, so Swami Devakantyanandaji Maharaj used to sit here. He was cashier. He was Mat Upadhyaksha also. Who wrote that, compiled that book called Mantra Pushpam. And something I had some business with him, I think some voucher or some checks he had given to read, write, or some book entry, something was there. I made, and he was very meticulous person. All these register, books, everything made without a single error, without a single overwriting, without anywhere putting that white plaster, what we call that correction ink or something. Nowhere. And at that time people were there, that's how bookkeeping was there. Not a single mistake. So much typing, not a mistake. On the typewriter they used to do. And because I was not trained for this kind of, thinking and workplace, I did one mistake. He was in here, so he didn't say much, but it was very obvious on his face. After I think couple of days, I did another mistake. And as usual, I said, sorry Maharaj, I made a mistake. He said me one line. I remember that. And he very rarely he used to say anything like, giving like advice. Very rarely. He was not that kind of person. He said me one line. And he says, that convert this tendency of doing mistake into tendency to deliver in perfection. Don't say, I don't know. That is not apology. Convert this tendency of doing mistake into delivering in perfection. Not a mistake. Change it. That should be your natural tendency, delivering in perfection. And its exception would be some mistake. You are like 10 to do mistake and sometime you do perfectly. It was very striking that, and it was then, of course, I took the job seriously and probably did better, maybe. So, that is this pramadaha. Nidra, this. Why this nidra is also, whether sleep is not required, sleep is not necessary, sleep is blamed? No, not that sleep, which you take as a rest to your physical and brain function, you rest your organs. That sleep is like essential, like you eat food. You eat food, you do exercise, you go about, you do attend all your businesses as they should be attended. Similarly, nidra is that kind of requirement. So it is not demonized here. Nidra is not demonized in that sense. It is that part of nidra when you do not have anything to look forward to and you want to hide in that gloom and remain under your blanket. That nidra is tamas. That you don't want to face to the world. You do not have that courage, you do not have that ambition, you do not have that drive and desire to go and meet the world. You want to shy away from it, you feel it is a trouble, it is you are testing, challenging. And you feel it is unnecessary tension that, oh, today also I have to go to office. And today also that my boss is this face I have to see. Today also those my ugly colleagues are there, one thing or other. Today also I have to go into the train, local, or this rain is going on. Today also I have to do that. This negative talk. And you are not at all motivated towards it. There would be challenges. How you are going along with the challenges. Just now I described. You are not able to respond to that is tamas. That is tamas. That is inertia. That is born out of moha. Your attitude itself is 180-degree wrong. Very diametrically opposite thing you have adopted as your idea. You are not seeing the path to your growth, your liberation, your emancipation. You are becoming free to become master. You are settled for this idea that you are slaving, you are drudging it. Nidra alasya pramadottam tat tamasam udavritam. One last verse is remaining in this section that I will touch. So, na tadasti pruthivyam va divi deveshu va punaha satvam prakriti jair muktam yadebhi syat tribhir gunaihi. This is wonderful. This Bhagavan says here, he is making a plain statement, making him the pervasiveness of these three gunas. What does he say? That there is no entity on earth or again in heaven among the devas, divi deveshu va punaha, that is devoid of these three gunas, born of Prakriti. Prakriti jair muktam, there is nothing which is free or beyond this Prakriti. Yadevi syat tribhir gunaihi. There is nothing free of this. So, meaning that these ideas, this differentiation due to the influence of these three qualities will be evident everywhere. Nothing is free from its scope. So, therefore, if these six elements, Bhagavan took it for description, but it can be easily drawn that everything in this world therefore is conditioned and would be differentiated on the basis of these three gunas. Meaning that once these six should be, work as a model for us to think everything in terms of it, so that we would be able to make decision for ourselves. Whether this will cause, this is born out of sattva, rajas or tamas, so what it will cause, my growth, my struggle or my degradation. What should be the way out for me? Or what am I doing? It is for self-assessment and chalking my way for my growth and success. That should be the thing. This is now in the next class. नेक्स्ट क्लास होगा ना विजय? हाँ ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. ओके. सो हाँ ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, शाम को हो सकता है क्लास. तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में एक कुछ वर्सेस है चतुर्वर्ण के बारे में, 41 to 44. These 4 verses we will take, and then the next section of this Ashtadasha Adhyaya we will follow. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Bhagwan.